Hey everybody, welcome to Fab Fit Friday on this beautiful day. I had trouble getting my live stream key to work, but I finally figured that out. And the other thing is, I'm going to switch the view to my camera here. I thought it'd be fun to show you the last little bit of embroidering one of the designs on my jeans that I'm working on. And then, of course, as I was setting it up to just take a couple minutes during the live stream to finish embroidering, I had thread breaking and a bunch of other things happening. And I'll show you, I just ran out of thread for the leaves on the design I'm stitching. So I think I'm just going to skip to the next color and fix that manually later. So that'll give me something else to show you later. Hi Carol, thank you for joining me. Sorry I'm late. I'm going to switch my view to my picture-in-picture, and then I'm going to put it on here for a second. I'm just going to zoom in over here. Get a little bit brighter. Okay, so I am working on my jeans, and I ran out of thread, but that color wasn't done, so I'm just going to skip to the next color and put that in, and then I'll deal with the little bit of green that I ran out of thread for later, because I'll have to search around for another spool of it. So let me just get this started, and then I have a bunch of other fun things to talk to you about while this is finishing. Of course, now that we're live, we will probably, well, let's just go with it's going to be smooth. All right, so the cool thing is the design I'm working on only has a few different color changes. So I think I only have to change the color one more time, or maybe two more times, depending. I might split up what I'm working on. All right, so let me switch back to what I'm working on in front of me. Okay, so I thought it would be fun to kind of talk about my process when I'm embroidering jeans. Whoa, let me put this on here first. I just want to put some denim over that white. I'll make it less bright when I start showing you my design process. But the first thing I want to talk about is how I pick colors for an embroidery project. And you can see here I'm working with this dark blue denim, and the colors I went for, I'm gonna put them out here, are all pretty dark. I like to have colors that blend into or anchor the design. So for example, this tannish gold color here, if all of my colors were bright like that, my embroidery would look like it was popping off the fabric. So I try to find colors that are pretty close. Some of them are like pretty close and anchored in, so they anchor into the fabric. And then I use these lighter colors, or colors that are more contrasting to my fabric, as accents. And when this design is finished, I'll show you how that's coming. So that was the first thing I wanted to tell you, or kind of talk about. When you're picking your colors, you know, try to, you know, if you, well, I guess it's not wrong to use colors that all pop if that's the look you're going for, and it's not a bad look. I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm just saying if you want your embroidery to look like it's communing with your fabric, or you know, it's blending in with your fabric a little bit and becoming part of your fabric, it's important to pick some colors that blend in with your fabric. So I also have like another dark plum similar to this in the machine right now. So I'm just going to put these aside. And I think what I'm going to do is, let me change my exposure so this isn't day glow white. Okay, so these are some legs I'm using. I'm teaching a pants class on Zoom, the pants fitting class, and so I printed these out so I could show different adjustments and things really easily on the camera. So I thought what I would do is show you what my process is in terms of coming up with an overall embroidery design. So the first thing is, when you're working with embroidering a garment that you're also constructing, you have a lot more freedom in where you can put your designs. And what I mean by that is, here is my front leg. Let me show you my front leg that on the side I haven't started yet. All right, so here's my front leg, and you can see I've got my front pocket here. If these jeans were already constructed, then I wouldn't be able to embroider underneath the front pocket, because I would be embroidering the pocket bag to the jeans, and then the pocket bag would be useless. So one of the things that is really kind of cool is I can embroider all underneath my pocket bag, my opening, and then I can construct my pocket. And as soon as this design finishes embroidering, I will show you how to construct your pocket on jeans that are semi-constructed. So that's what I'm going to show you in a few minutes. But, you know, so what I have here is my leg. So this is kind of what my plan was. So I wanted a big, you know, maybe a big floral design in the corner here, and then a medium one and a small one coming up, you know, following the curve of the front pocket. So that was the first thing I embroidered. And then, let me just say hi. Hi, Andrea, thank you for joining me. I'm sorry if the embroidery machine is loud. I hope it's not distracting while I'm talking. If it is distracting, could someone comment, and I'll just stop the embroidery and I'll do it later. I mean, I can always stop it if it's bothering anybody. But anyway, let me just cut this. So I've got my front leg right here, and I'm just gonna cut this off, and then I've got my back leg here. Okay, I'm just gonna cut this in half. Okay, so after I embroidered these designs, then what I did was I sewed my side seams together up to the point where I know the pocket bag won't go down that far. Okay, so I sewed my side seams together starting there, and then what that allows me to do is create a design that kind of goes over the side seam. So I started out with just the front, then I sewed the side seam together like this, so I could then continue to embroider down the side seam and down the leg. Now, in terms of figuring out my overall design, I'm very plain Jane. Like you can see, like everything I have is navy or black or gray. So I thought for these jeans that I'm working on now, I'm gonna go for it. Like I am gonna make a full-on pair of art jeans that have embroidery. There's gonna be decorative stitching, like free motion stitching, maybe some decorative stitching, maybe some different other techniques. I'm gonna like make these an amazing work of art. So to get my bones, or like my almost like my support for the overall design, what I'm doing is I'm planning where I'm going to have my big splashes of embroidery. So up here at the top, I've got some of that going on there, and then I also made a copy of my back pocket, and I traced it onto my back leg. So, you know, it's something like this. You know, it's not exactly like this, but just let's say this is my back pocket. That way I can see, you know, what space I have and where that pocket's going to be in terms of my different embroidery. So I've got that there. Then down here I marked my knee, and I am putting 3 big floral designs right here. Okay, and this is what I'm actually working on right now, what's embroidering on my machine right now. So I've got a big bunch of embroidery here, I've got a big bunch of embroidery here, and then my plan for the hem, which I know I need, you know, I'm going to mark off my hem allowance when I get down there, and then I'm going to start with not thinking about the individual motifs yet, but I'm going to have embroidery that sort of, like it, I think it's going to peak, like it's going to be, you know, along here, and as we get down to the hem, I'm going to make it into a triangle, and I'm going to have it, you know, almost probably the whole hem, you know, with different motifs. So all of these circles are like, you know, kind of like where I think I'm going to place designs. And then I'm going to see how I feel about what's happening there, and that's where I'm going to add my second layer of embellishment. For example, on my front, you know, when I finish creating, I'm going to add a little bit more in here. I figured it'd be kind of cool to have a pop at the knee. That's why I have designs down at the knee. But then I'm also going to create maybe vertical decorative stitching, let's say, that maybe connects these, and maybe it comes down part way. All right, so maybe I'll have some sort of decorative stitching that comes down like that. You know, and maybe I'll have decorative stitching that, I'm not 100% sure, but I might even have some like radiating decorative stitching here. And then I'll have more decorative stitching to connect my knee to my hem. So I'm trying to create the foundation for the overall design with my embroidery. And it's clicking along pretty well now. All right, so that's my plan, and as soon as we're done embroidering, I will share with you how that's looking. But in the meantime, let's prep a front pocket so it's ready to sew. And I have a one-piece front pocket. Let me show you the pattern piece. Okay, so this is the pattern piece right here. And the way it folds up like this to create a one-piece pocket bag. So this is the area on my side seam that I did not sew up on my actual jeans, so I can fit it in and construct this. So what we're going to do is let me just get my little ironing surface here, and I'm going to just press my pattern quickly. Okay, and then I'm gonna use this fabric here. It's kind of a muted, dusty floral in the colors I'm using for my embroidery, so I thought that would be kind of fun. And I think I may only have enough to cut one out of this fabric, so I have like a set of these fat quarters, so I'll probably pick a completely different fabric to do my other pocket bag. Alright, so let's cut this out. Alright, so here's going to be the trick. Let me get the leg I'm not working on. Alright, so here's my front leg. Okay, and I'm going to turn it upside down because this is the direction that the front pocket opening is going on the leg I have under the machine here. So I want to make sure when I cut out this front pocket, it actually is going the right way, so I can use this piece of fabric to cut out this, to finish the pocket that's over there. So let me show you how this works. We're going to put the fabric right sides together, and then when I flip it, oh, I'm sorry, we're going to put the fabric is actually going to be wrong sides together, because when we flip it, let's pretend we sewed this. I'm just going to flip it around. Then the right side of the fabric will show here. So let's do it with the actual fabric. If I put wrong sides together first, okay, so let's pretend I cut it out, flip it around like I sewed it to the other side, okay, and then when I fold it up, the right side will fit, okay, I mean the right side will show. So that means I need to cut out my pattern piece so the right side is face up this way. So this is the way I have to cut. This is the way I have to cut out my pattern piece. So I'm going to cut this out. Let me just stop and see. I have some questions. Let me see. Oh, Kat says, hi, thank you. Is the Fab a good embroidery machine? I have a Baby Lock Elissimo and I'm not 100% happy with it. Well, I will tell you, I am in a little bit of an embroidery machine crisis because all of my equipment is extremely old. I actually sold my Creative Vision, my Fab Creative Vision, which was an amazing machine, but it was just so large. I mean, it literally took up like 3 feet of space when the embroidery unit was attached, and at the time I wasn't doing very much embroidery, so I never took it out of the box. So I sold that, and now I'm sad that I sold it because what I have left now is my Fab 2170, which is, it's got to be, I would say 15 years old, or maybe even a little bit more. Having said that, it still works like a champ. I love it. And I have an 11,000, which I'm having a thread sensor problem with. So I'm really going to have to research for myself and pick something that I can really embroider on, because I really want to get into embroidery and start doing a lot more embroidery. I think Fab is a good brand, but it's not Fab like my 2170, because along the way, Singer, Viking, and Fab, I think, are all the same company now. So I don't know. I do know people who have the new Fabs and they love them. So I may stick with Fab because that was my brand that I, started with when I was working at a sewing store, and that's really what I learned on, and that's really what I did most of my work on. So I'm surprised you don't like your Baby Lock though, because I do know a lot of friends that have Baby Locks and they love those as well. And I know a lot of people who have brother machines, and brother machines are really nice too. All right, I'm going to zoom into the machine so I can show you. I'm going to change my threads. Okay. I'll just keep changing my exposure so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. All right, so these designs are part of the collection, my new collection that I have on my website, and this next color fills in the entire middle, plus it creates the shading on the petals. So for this flower, what I'd like to do is stop it after it does the middle part and put in a lighter color, like a lighter, this color, just to give it a little bit different look. So I'm going to have to pay attention to that. The other ones I just let it run. All right, so one of my favorite needles for embroidery is the Metafill needle. And I like the Sullivan Metafill embroidery needles because they work really well and they last a long time. Oops. Of course, nothing's gonna... All right, so let me let this start back up again. All right, and we'll just let that run for a little bit here. Like I said, I'm hoping to catch it before it starts to, before it starts the shading on the petals, so I can stick in that other color, just to make the little bit variety in my leaves. All right, so Kat, I'm sorry if I didn't answer your question completely, but I will definitely keep you posted when I decide to buy a new machine and what my thought process is and what I actually end up getting. Oh, Kathy wants to know which needle I'm using. Let me show you. All right, so I'm embarrassed to say my needles are all from when I used to work at Manchester Sewing a long time ago. So I haven't researched buying any more of these needles because I had so many when the store closed. But it's a Sullivan... Oh, let me just switch my view back over here. Hold on. All right, so it's the Sullivan's machine embroidery Metafill needle. I really like them. I have one left in this pack, but I think they work really, really well. Although, honestly, Schmetz Metafill needles work really well too. So, you know, if you have a Schmetz Metafill needle, the thing about a Metafill needle is it has a very long hole. So if you're going to mix in some metallic threads, or I really like the Sulky. Sulky makes a thread that's got, it's almost like a little ribbon of filament, and I can't remember the name of it because I haven't used it in a while. Very easy to embroider with specialty threads with this needle. So if you're using regular embroidery threads, and you're using specialty threads, the Metafill needle is your friend because you won't have to stop and change needles, you know, when you switch to a specialty thread. All right, so let me just see here. I want to make sure that I catch this and switch. I think right here is where I want to switch. Oh, not yet. All right, it'll be another minute. All right, so what I want to do now is, while we're waiting for that, I'm gonna cut this out, my pocket bag here. So So if you guys are following along with me and you're checking out my videos on Tuesday, I have my Quick Tip Tuesday videos. I think what I'm going to do is save these longer projects or things that have more detail and are project based for these live streams. And then my Quick Tip Tuesday videos will be, more of a quick tip. So like this week I did a video showing how to tell if you need to adjust your sleeve based on your shoulder adjustment. And I think that's going to work out well to have those two different options. All right. Okay, so I've got this cut out and ready to go. And then, of course, if we're going to do the pocket, the other thing I need is a denim facing. Oops, 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 oops. Hold on one second. I almost missed it here. Yeah, I'll leave that little bit. Okay, I'm just going to switch this red color. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So then my trick is I'm going to also have to watch it because when it finishes shading the petals, I also want to put that goldy color back in to finish the center of the flower. So I'm going to have to watch it. All right, so while I'm watching it, I'm also going to cut out my denim facing. So here is my pocket piece, and then it's like this, right? So my denim, when it's folded up, needs to be facing, it needs to be facing this way. Okay, so the denim facing goes here, like this. Okay, so I need to have this be the right side of my thing. I might as well cut out a set of them while I'm cutting, so I'll have my other one ready to go. Okay, all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this out like that. Excellent. All right, so that takes care of that. So now I have my denim facing, and so I know that the denim facing is going to go on the wrong side. It's going to go right here, like this. Because when I fold this up, all right, wait a minute. So when I fold it up to the right side, it will be like this. So the denim facing gets folded to the wrong side. You can see how that looks. And of course the jeans will be here. So now I have this ready to go. All right, so we're good. Let me just change my color because I'm going to be doing that in 1 second here. All right. Okay. Let me use this is the last color change, so I'll be able to show you what I'm working on in 1 minute here. Okay, so the other benefit to a metafill needle is because of that long eye, it's much easier to thread because it's got a good size eye to it, which comes in handy now. All right, so I'll just let that finish now, and then I'll be able to show you. Okay, let me just see. Amber says, so the inside of the pocket has the wrong sides of the lining fabric. Wouldn't you want it the other way just in case the inside pocket peeks through? That's a really good question, Amber. The reason why I like to have it like this is when you look inside your jeans, this is what you see. If I put the denim facing on the right side of the fabric, I would be seeing the wrong side of the pocket bag inside your jeans. So the way you prevent the wrong side of your fabric to show when you're constructing your pocket is you make sure you have a significant overlap. So if you notice here, when I shut this pocket, let me draw it with chalk here. So I'm just going to show you the outline. And it'll be a little bit deeper because we're going to sew in, but my point is, look at what a big overlap I have. So there's no way the wrong side of the fabric is going to show through the pocket in the front because I've got enough overlap. So that's a really important thing, especially if you're playing with your pattern and you're changing the shape of your front pocket opening. So for example, let's say the pattern you're working with, you're not in love with this original shape. You can change it to anything you want, but if you do, make sure you also change the shape of your denim facing so you've got that overlap. Yay, we're finished. All right, so I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, please let me know. All right, so let's get that embroidery off the machine so you can see what it looks like. I'm just going to shut this off too for now. All right. Okay. All right. All right, so here's what I'm working on. Let me see if I need to change the exposure so you can see. Let me just make it a little bit brighter. All right, so you can see I've made a cluster of 3 of these larger embroideries here, and this is about where my knee is. I had chalked in a line for my knee and it kind of disappeared, but my knee is approximately right here. So I've got this grouping of designs at the knee, and then if we look up at the top here, okay, you can see how I embroidered along my front pocket, and then after I did that, I sewed the seam so I could then start adding embroidery across my side seam. Okay, so that's how, you know, you're able to, you know, get into places where you can't really get into them if your, you know, if your pocket bag is already sewn on. So what we're going to do here is I am going to set up my sewing machine, and I am going to show you how to add these pieces to something that's partially constructed. So that's what I wanted to show you today. But before we do that, I want to show you a fun thing. I didn't want to take the time to print a template to help place my designs. So I took a piece of paper, you know, and it could be any kind of paper. I'll just use like this scrap paper here. This is just like something I was working on before. If you take your paper and a crayon, this is like, remember when graveyard rubbings were in style? Watch what happens when I run my crayon along the design. The shape of the design shows up. All right, so this design, this is the outline of it. This little flower, shaped something like that. Okay, that's this design right here. So I can cut this out and very quickly use it as a template to place my designs. So I made, you know, so like if I wanted to check to see if I had room to put it there, I could just do that. I made this one. Okay, so this one is of this one. So see, that makes like a really quick, you know, a really quick template without printing them out on the computer. So that's a fun thing you can do, you know, if you have crayons or something soft that you can sort of rub and get the bumped up outline of something that's embroidered on your fabric. So I was really happy that I discovered that I could do that this morning. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I am going to push this back a little bit. I'm just going to make a little bit of room. I'm going to get my machine and I'm going to show you how to put together this front pocket. Okay, I'm going to use this machine. Okay, all right, so let me just plug it in. Okay, so my dream is to set up my studio so I can have all my machines on my work surface without picking them up and putting them down, because this is getting a little bit, you know, it's a little bit of work to do that. And then of course now, where's my, what did I do with that? Oh, all right. Okay, so here we go. Okay, let that get warmed up. Let me get my view for you. Okay, oops. Let me get a little less. Okay. All right. All right, so I'm going to show you how to do this completely on the sewing machine. When I make my jeans, let me just see how much bobbin thread I have. Oh, I might have enough. When I make my jeans, like for real, I will serge all the edges. And actually, I've serged the edges of my denim pieces already, my legs, because I'm going to be handling those legs a lot during the process of embroidering and embellishing them. And I don't want my seam allowance to, you know, get frayed. So you can see I've already prepped the denim pieces by serging all those edges. But I'm not going to take the time to go to the serger to do this right now. So my first step is, this is where my denim facing is going to go. And because these edges are not serged, I am going to attach this denim facing with a triple zigzag. Now a triple zigzag is nice because it has 3 stitches in each direction. So I'll sew really slowly so you can see what I mean. But basically it will sort of finish the edge and attach it to the pocket bag all at the same time, so I don't have to worry about not having the serger or serged edges. All right, so I'm going to start on the corner here, and I'm just going to stitch back and forth. And you can see, if I go really slow, the needle's taking 3 stitches in the left and right direction as it zigs and zags back and forth. When I get to the corner, I'm just going to stop and pivot. And again, I'm going to pivot, and I think I'll get this pin out of the way. I'm just sewing it on like a patch. I'm going all the way around. All right, so here's what it looks like. And you can see from the right side now, you'll see that zigzag stitch. I think you guys can see. So now my denim facing is on. So my next step is I'm going to go right to my jeans here. And I am going to position this wrong side to of the wrong side of my pocket bag to the right side of my jeans, and I'm just going to pin. Okay, and then you want to make sure when you pin this on that everything lines up. So like the whole waistline edge lines up, the side seam lines up, everything's lining up. I am going to stitch the pocket bag to the jeans using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Now remember my, actually, you know what, I'm going to do it from this side, and it looks a little bit messy because I haven't taken stabilizer off yet, but I want to make sure that none of my serged edge shows. So, and actually that'll give me a guide to sew at 3/8 of an inch because I used a 4 thread to finish these edges, and on my ovation my 4 thread is 3/8 of an inch. So that gives me a really good guide. So I'm going to sew just below the base of this serged edge. And that way I'm sure it's not showing. I'll take these pins out as I come to them. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to understitch. And understitching is when you stitch through both seam allowances and the thing that turns to the inside. So in this case, it's the pocket bag. In another case, it could be the facing, or the lining. So you want to make sure you're sewing through both seam allowances, and in this case, it's the pocket bag. And I can use I'm going to use my stitch in the ditch foot because it has a guide on it, and that will help me sew an even distance from the edge. So like if I put the guide right on the intersection or the seam, I can then move my needle over to the right a little bit. So I want to stitch, maybe 1/8 of an inch away. And as I stitch, I'm going to pull the fabric away from each other like this. And as I go, I'm going to do this. I'm going to open it up because when I get to the very end, I want to create a straight line here. That will ensure me that the pocket bag's going to fold down right. So let's just understitch this. Oops. All right, so here's the cool thing about this technique. If you use a 3/8 inch seam allowance and you pull the pocket bag away as you go, I can almost finger press this into a nice shape without any like hard work with the iron. See how nice that looks already, and we didn't even press it yet. But we do want to press it, so let me get the iron. I'm going to slide this out of the way. All right, so I'm sure I've told you I am in love with this iron. This Aliso iron is amazing. And I'm just going to use this tiny little pressing surface here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it to the wrong side. And I guess I probably should clean this up a little bit since the pocket bag is going to be there. So I can use my little tweezers here, and I'm just going to pick the big pieces of paper off. I'm using a tearaway that's pretty, it washes away really nicely in the wash, like it disintegrates, so I'm not super concerned, but you know, we probably should clean up some of the big pieces here. All right, so I think that's okay. I'm not going to worry about trimming these threads because it's not going to be in view. All right, so now I'm going to start on my side seam edge, and I want to fold it so I can see the denim. See how you can see the denim right there? I am going to press this, and as I press, you're going to see it makes a nice shape. I'm going to do the two ends first. So I did the side seam, now I'm going to do the waistline edge. And then the rest will come along really nicely. Okay, so let me see. BMax says, I like that technique. Oh, good, thank you. And Kathy said nice. Yay. Okay, thank you, ladies, for following along with me here. All right, so I'm just going to press this. All right, let's look at it from the right side. I'm just going to give it a little, like, see how nice that looks? And see, now my little vine goes on and off the fabric, which I did that on purpose, and I kind of like that. So that's cool. So my next step is we're going to top stitch along the pocket opening, and I'm going to show you something a little bit different than how I would normally top stitch. Isn't this cool? Watch. When I take my hand off the handle, it pops up so it doesn't burn, you know, the thing I have underneath here. I've been using this pad as my tabletop iron rest, essentially, for this Aliso iron. And you can see, this is an aside, there's no scorch marks on it. And it's been sitting, I've been using this for a long time already, so this is really effective for not burning your surface and letting it stay down like that. So kind of excited. I'm going to put this over here for now. All right, so we're going to top stitch, but I'm going to show you a way to top stitch where we're not I don't want to just run over the edge of my embroidery. So I'm going to show you something. I just have to find some thread. Hold on. Got some top stitch thread here. All right, so here's the exciting news. Oh, it's not exciting. I'm going to take the Metafill needle off of my embroidery machine, and I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm going to use it to top stitch with. Because you need a big eye to use top stitching thread. So I'm going to... Oh, my needle got stuck in my foot. I'll deal with that later. All right, so I'm going to put this Metafill needle in this machine. If I can figure out how to get it in the hole. There we go. And then I'm going to thread the machine with this beige or khaki colored top stitch thread. Okay. All right, so just snip this. See how nice that is? That hole is so big in the Metafill needle that I could just very easily thread that needle. All right, let me just make sure my focus is good. Maybe lighten it. I'm gonna lighten it up a little bit. All right. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my stitch in the ditch foot. My needle got stuck. Oh, there we go. I'm going to put my stitch in the ditch foot back on. And what we're going to do is I'm going to start over here. And I'm going to put my guide on the edge of the pocket opening. So that means I have to move my needle over to the left. Okay. And I'm going to make my stitch length a little bit longer. So let's make it 4. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start stitching here. Wait a minute, I just want to make sure I don't. Okay, it's really important that you don't gob up your top stitching thread. Let me start that over. Hold on. I'm just going to back tack at the top just to secure it. All right, so I'm going to stitch right along the edge here. And when I get to this embroidery design, I'm just going to back tack a couple stitches and I'm going to cut it. So see, I stitched from here to here. Then I'll start again after that embroidery design, and I'm not loving this foot, so I'm going to take that off. That guide is not helping me, so let me see what other goodie I have in here. Alright, I'm going to use this foot instead so I can see what I'm doing. My clear open toe foot. Try this one instead. Alright, so now I think we'll be able to see better too. Oh yeah. Alright, so in this case I'm going to move my needle back over to the right a little bit. I'm also going to increase my needle tension to like 6.5. Alright. Okay, so I want to I want to start stitching again. And again, I'm going to take like 2 stitches back to secure it. And then I'm going to stitch to here, and then I'm going to back tack. Oh, am I even stitching? No. Wait a minute, I think I'm out of bobbin thread. Or it's not picking up the bobbin thread. Let me see here, hold on. Let me make sure. This has been my day all day, ladies. Everything I've been trying to do, I've had little technical difficulties. All right, let me just cut this. All right, let me try this again. All right, let's see if I can. All right, let's try it again. If I take a stitch forward, stitching back. Oh, there we go. I think it's catching now. All right, for this one, this is such a narrow thing. I'm going to pull it out and leave a tail, and I'm going to pull those to the back and tie a knot. And then I'm going to start again. And I'm going to stitch to this one. And again, I'm going to pull, oops. All right, let me see if I have a bigger bobbin. Here, this bobbin has more thread on it. I think I was getting too close to the end there. Okay, let me try this. All right, I'm also going to try to put my spool in the horizontal position to see if it spools off easier too. I had it in the vertical and maybe that was adding too much tension. All right, let me try this. Okay. All right, so now I'm gonna stitch, 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 stitch. And again, I'm gonna pull it out so I can tie it. And then we can just finish the rest. And I'll just back tack over here. All right. All right, so let's look at what we have here. All right, so see, it makes like a little bit of a broken line, but it's not stitching like just right on top of the embroidery. So I'm going to play with that and, you know, work with that. But then what we're going to do is, let me just change my view. All right, so what I'm going to do now is, we want to pull these to the wrong side so we can knot them. And if you pull the bobbin thread, it brings the top stitching thread to the wrong side. So if you ever want to stop and start somewhere, just know that you can, pulling the bobbin thread usually pulls the top stitch thread to the wrong side, and then you can just very easily get it. See, so now it's just stopped and started in the front, and there's no back tacking to make it look messy. And then I can just knot these. So again, I'm going to pull this one. And these are just little details that you can you know, that might just make your design look a little bit nicer, you know, not you know, not just sewing over the embroidery, I think. Okay, so that one's in the back. Yeah, so see now, look at the front has a pretty clean finish now. Same. And then to tie the knot, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do left over right, right over left. So left over right. And then right over left. So basically I'm leading with the top stitch thread. And I'm going to do it 3 times just for a little bit of safety. And then I can clip that. And if you want to have a little bit of a, you know, a little bit of an extra safety, you can just dot it with a little fray check, the knot itself. So that's how I'm going to finish those. So left over right, right over left. Does anybody have any questions? And left over right. All right, once I finish tying these, I'm going to show you how to just finish up this pocket. Okay. Right over left. All right. Okay. All right, this one I just pulled it to the wrong side to trim it because I back tacked there. All right, so there's our finished top stitching. And I'm just going to do 1 row of stitching like that. Okay, so now the next step is, oh, let me just see, someone asked a question. Amber said, this isn't the salvage denim from a few weeks back. No, this is just a denim I had in my stash. I do have some salvage denim that I am going to work with though. But for this pair, this is just a regular denim. And then BMAX says, when you use fray check, do you press it to keep it from feeling hard? Oh, no, BMAC, I don't press it to keep it from feeling hard. Does that work? Because if that does, that's an excellent tip to share with us. In this particular case, though, give us a little more information on pressing to keep the fray check from feeling hard. But in this particular case, it's going to be completely encased in the back pocket, so I'm not going to feel it. But I could see where that would be a really cool thing. All right, let me just show you now. From the right side, when you fold that pocket bag in half, this is what you end up with. And you can see I left just enough opening to sew that down. So I'm just going to baste it together. Oh, wait a minute, let me. So what you want to do is you want to fold it down and line up those edges. And I'm just going to throw in a couple pins here. And I'm also going to put a couple pins over here. Now you'll notice, this is another thing my pattern has. If I unpin here, you can see that the leg sticks out this little bit here, you want to bring that in and match it up, because what that does is it gives ease to stick your hand in. All right, let me see here. BMax says, it seems to work for me, especially when making napkins with a rolled hem. And then Andrea says, fray block keeps soft and it's not scratchy at all. Well, that's very interesting. I'm gonna have to play with that. I've never tried fray block, so maybe I can do a little comparison test to see. And then, so BMac, when you press it, obviously, are you pressing it after it's dry with a press cloth so you don't hurt your iron? Is that what you do? Just let me know, because that's very interesting. I've never heard that before. See, I don't know everything, so please feel free to chime in with all your wonderful tips and suggestions, because I learn just as much from you guys as you learn from me. All right, so I am going to just, oh, let me take out my top stitching thread though. I'm going to take out my top stitching thread. I'm going to put my blue thread back. And I'm just going to baste this in place. I don't want to sew the rest of the side seam yet because I haven't attached the yoke onto the back leg. That's another step that I haven't done yet. Okay. All right, so let me just baste this on. And I'm just going to sew from the top of the pocket down to the folded bottom edge of the pocket. And I'm not going to sew, I don't want to catch anything else. And then I'm going to do the same thing up here. I'm just going to sew across the top of the waist band, or the waistline. Okay, so now here's another thing that you can do to protect your pocket, the wrong side of your pocket bag from showing. Let's say you didn't leave enough overlap between your denim facing and your, oh my God, you can't even see what I'm doing. I'm so sorry. That's better. I'm sorry. My picture-in-picture doesn't show on the screen on my camera when I'm lining it up. All right, let me just see here. Hold on one second. All right, so Kat says, can you show a pic of the entire embroidery on one leg? Thank you. I will in 1 minute. BMac says, no, it's still wet. I use a towel or something under and an old press cloth in the hot iron with steam. And then, oh, and then BMac's asking Andrea where you can find fray block. I think if you Google it, you can find it. I think I've seen it online places, but Andrea can tell us where she found it. All right, before I show you all the embroidery on this, I want to show you one other thing that will help keep the front pocket from, you know, opening too far or showing, you know, or poking out or anything. If you just turn your jeans this way, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch down along my top stitching, maybe 3/4 of an inch. It will just tack the pocket opening closed at the very top, a little bit past the seam allowance, because remember there's a 1/2 inch seam allowance here. So I'm just going to stitch in this blue. It's not going to show, but basically I'm just going to tack this part of the pocket closed, and that will keep it from opening as well. So see, you can't even really see that, but see what it does is it keeps that part of the pocket from springing open. Okay. So let me just show you the back first. This is our completed pocket. Okay. So that's how it looks from the wrong side. And then from the right side. Okay, and then let me just widen my view and I'll show you all the embroidery. Okay, so this is what I have so far. I've got, up at the top I have these florals. This is a separate design right here, and this is another individual floral. And then I have these three floral designs here. And like I said, I am going to go to town with this. I am going to embroider all over these jeans. I don't want to say I'm going to make them look like Elvis, but I really want to make like a really cool pair of like beautiful embroidered and embellished. So, you know, if you're interested in seeing how it's coming, I don't know if I can completely finish them by next week, but I will have so much more done, and I'm excited to show you. And if I have other techniques I want to share, I will definitely do that as well. Another thing that helps me design is if I fold my jeans on the side seam like this, then I can see, you know, how it's going to look from the front. So right now, you can see up at the top, that's how it's going to look right now. And that'll help me decide how much more I want to add, you know, looking at it folded in half like this. And, you know, the same thing is, here's my knee so far. You know what I mean? So that's how it looks on the wrong side. This is how it looks on the right side based on where I put my designs. I don't think I'm going to put any more in the back because, you know, my knee is here, and when my knee bends, I feel like that's enough embroidery at the knee and the back. But I may, you know, do a little bit more in here in the front. You know, and then as I get down to my hem, these are straight leg jeans, so, you know, I'll be able to fill all this in. You know, and then I'm going to tie all these little areas of embroidery together with, I don't want to say quilting, but quilting techniques. I may do some grid stitching or some free motion quilting. I really enjoy doing all those techniques, and I very rarely have a chance to work on that. So that's why I'm really going to, you know, take advantage of working on this project, because it's a lot of fun for me. So, you know, and if anybody's interested in these embroidery designs, there are 7 different designs, and you can find them on my, you know, in my web store. And there is a coupon code, which if you're interested in them, it's Floral5 for $5 off. So if you're interested in these designs and you'd like to save $5, use the coupon code Floral5. I'm just going to keep that in there indefinitely. So, well, at least for the next few weeks, you know, because it's my first collection. But anyway, so that's what I'm working on now, and that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Really, if you have questions about embroidery, or, you know, how to pick colors, or, you know, any of these kinds of things, please feel free to comment in the you know, below the video, and I'll help you. My YouTube channel, I mean, my Facebook is still a disaster. I still have made no movement on that. I logged into Facebook under my daughter's account, and the hackers, which we reported, are still running rampant with my page. So I tried to report them again, but I really don't have much hope in getting my, you know, in getting my Facebook page back, but that makes me really sad because that group that I have, my J Stern Designs Fitting and Pattern Perfection group, there's a lot of information in there. And I miss all of my ladies who followed me there. And some of you have found me here, like PG. Hi, PG. I'm really happy to see you. So anyway, so that's my report. So for now, I'm going to keep Fab Fit Friday here on YouTube at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And again, I'm going to try to keep my Fit Tip Tuesday to a quick fit tip. And I'll do my longer projects during these live streams, so you have the choice of, you know, tuning in and just watching my quick video, or if you want to join me live. I do want to encourage you, if you follow along with me and you're working on something, if you have questions about a project, please use this opportunity, because you can ask me live and I'll help you. So I'm here for you, and I know it's been challenging with, you know, all of the social distancing and live events getting canceled, so feel free to, you know, take advantage of these live streams to ask me questions on what you're working on, because I can't do my Facebook group anymore for the time being, where I also encourage people to ask questions as well. So, you know, feel free to check in with me, and I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you next Friday for another Fab Fit Friday. Bye-bye.